another form of winner-take-all competitions. Here to host our next conversation on the future of professional sports is columnist for USA Today, Brennan. Great.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Susan. What an honor to be here. As a columnist who's been covering the Olympics since the days of Carl Lewis and Mary Lou Retton, yes, a long time ago, I'm especially pleased to discuss the future of sports with our next guests. You know, we're talking about looking 30 years ahead for USA Today, but I think a lot of you in this audience might want to look back 30 days to the London Olympics, and that's our panel here today. We have three great Olympic athletes with 8 gold medals between them, and the person who led the U.S. efforts that brought 104 medals, 46 of them gold medals, back to the United States from the 2012 London Games. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Heather O'Reilly, Missy Franklin, Ledecky, and Scott Blackmun. Feel free to sit down. It's my pleasure now to introduce these fantastic Olympians to you. First of all, let's start with Heather O'Reilly. Speaking of great futures, she's already had one as a member of the gold medal winning U.S. women's soccer teams of 2004, 2008, and 2012. And as you can see, they're all wearing their Olympic gold medals right now. Scott and I, we don't have them. At age 27, Heather is now one of the veterans of the U.S. team, but she tells us she's saving space on her mantle for another gold medal in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, Heather O'Reilly.
Thank you.
Next to Heather are 2 teenagers whose careers are off to an amazing start. She really needs no introduction, does she? 17-year-old Missy Franklin took home 4 gold medals and 1 bronze in her Olympic debut in women's swimming. Ladies and gentlemen, Missy Franklin. Woo! Missy's only 17. Ledecky is only 15. And in fact, both of them have to get back to high school in a few hours. Missy lives in Denver. That's going to be a little hard, but she's going to make it thanks to a certain airplane or jet. Ledecky has come to us all the way from Bethesda, Maryland. And she'll be able to get home in plenty of time to do that last homework, right, Katie? Anyway, Katie won the Olympic gold medal in the longest race, the women's swim, the 800-meter freestyle, with the 2nd fastest swim of all time. Ledecky. And finally, you didn't see him doing the backstroke or the freestyle or on the soccer pitch. He was just running the whole show. Please welcome Scott Blackmun, the CEO of the U.S. Olympic Committee. Scott, thank you. Thanks again to all of you for being here. Scott, I'll start with you as the boss, the man in charge of the whole U.S. Olympic effort. As you know, you led the medal count not only in overall medals, but gold medals. Obviously, these 3 athletes are some of the superstars that you took to London and came away with just great successes. Why was the United States able to be so successful at these Olympic Games?
Title IX, 40 years ago, we had new legislation, and it gave the opportunity to millions of young women to play sports growing up. And at the end of the day, that gave us a huge head start. And if you look at why we've led the medal count in every Summer Olympic Games since Barcelona, the answer is it's Title IX. It's our women's team. And I'm proud to say that our women's team was bigger than the men's team this year for the first time ever. And our women would have finished first in the overall medal count against any nation except 3. I think 4th overall in the overall medal count. So the answer is our women, quite honestly.
Well, thank you. And in fact, if the U.S. women had, in gold medals, if the U.S. women had been their own nation, would have finished tied for 2nd with Great Britain, only behind China in gold medals. So pretty amazing. Thank you, Scott. Missy Franklin, You came into these Olympics with incredible expectations. You were the first woman ever, U.S. woman swimmer, to qualify in 7 individual or different events, 3 relays and 4 individual events. There's a lot of pressure on you for your first Olympics as you leave Omaha, the Olympic swimming trials, and you go to London. How did you handle the pressure?
Okay, well, is this work? Yeah, okay. You know, I really didn't feel any pressure at all. I had so much fun at trials, and I went in there and had a blast, and I knew that that's what I had to do, and getting on the team in 7 events was definitely something I didn't expect, but it was awesome, and I went there, and I knew that after trials, my coach and my team and my family were already proud of me, so I just had to go out there and make my country proud of me.
And I know you and many other swimmers talk about thinking about swimming as a child and remembering the joy. Now, for you, that was only a couple of years ago. But seriously, is that part of it, to forget the drudgery, all of the laps, all of the hours you're spending with your head in the water, and remember why you swim?
Well, honestly, we love that part too. We obviously have the days. I mean, you guys don't want to get up and go to work every single day. We have those days where you just can't get out of bed no matter how hard you try, and we have those days with practice. We try so hard, but our times are awful, and we're doing so bad, and we're getting lapped by everyone. Like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But those are the days that you really just have to push through, and those are the days that make it worth it, or the days that you really did your best on the days when you weren't at your best. And that's what brings it all together.
That's great. Katie Ledecky, of course, you are one of Missy's teammates on the U.S. swim team. And your event is the longest, the 800 meters. And of course, you won the gold medal, and it was absolutely almost a world record performance. It was just a terrific, out of the blue kind of moment for all of us watching it. But one question I have, you're swimming 800 meters over 8 minutes of swimming. Do you ever kind of forget what lap you're on? Or kind of do you daydream? And what do you think about during those 8 minutes?
I don't lose track of the count, but I do blank out a little bit. I do that on purpose so I don't get too nervous, but I stay pretty focused. Maybe I have a song in my head or something like that, but I stay focused on my race plan, and just let the race flow.
And what were you thinking about that Friday night in London?
Just give it my all. I saw Missy and Michael win their races before, and that really pumped me up, and I just went in there and had a blast, and I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Did you know that among many people watching, including from press row, yours truly, and others, of course, did you know you had special visitors watching, a couple British sports fans named William and Kate?
Yes, I knew the Royals were there, but I've been telling everybody I had King James and the whole U.S. basketball team there, so that was great, and we knew that going into that day, and I got really excited for that, and it was neat to have some other USA teammates there.
And Missy, did you also know that the entourage, the men's basketball team, was there?
I didn't know before I swam, but afterwards when I was doing interviews, I saw a video of them cheering for me, and it was so awesome to see them there, and it was really exciting. It was awesome.
Well, far away from the swimming pool, on the pitch, various soccer fields in England and in Scotland, the U.S. women's team was doing what it always does, almost always. One time they haven't won the Olympic gold medal in all the Olympic games that they played in. And Heather O'Reilly, you, as I said, have been a part of these last 3 Olympic gold medals for the U.S., a huge part, one of the stars of the team for almost, a decade at this point. One of the key moments for you, though, of course, who here remembers the Canada-U.S. women's soccer game, the semifinal game? Canada scores first. U.S. answers, Canada scores again. U.S. actually has one Canadian who scored all these goals, Christine Sinclair. Canada scores again, it's 3-2. U.S. answers, 3-3. Now it is stoppage time of overtime, which means it's gone on for a long, long time. Heather O'Reilly is in the game. This is it. If you don't win this game, you don't go to the Olympic gold medal match. And why don't you tell us, pick it up from there, Heather. You're on the field. What happened next?
Absolutely. I mean, as anybody in here can attest, I think we may have gained a few fans from that game, but also lost a few years on our life, I think, because it was such a nerve-wracking match. But overtime, 110 minutes played, I think, at this point, or 118 minutes, rather. 2 minutes to go, and Abby Wambach plays me a pass. It wasn't her best pass, I must add. A little heavy. So I had to, kind of get on my horse and make sure I got there on time. It was towards the right side of the field. And I was able to just pick my head up and find Alex Morgan streaking down the center of the goal box. And as we know, she was able to head it home, and it's something that she had been working on for months. And crossing is something that I'd been working on for months. And it was just one of those things where preparation really does pay off. And the rest is history. We were able to go on and have our redemption match against Japan in the final, as we were heartbroken last summer in the World Cup. But this time we came back with the hardware that we wanted.
And along those lines, Heather, there was a lot of, speaking of pressure for Missy and Katie, there would have been pressure, but you weren't even expected to be there, right? So that's the best way to do it in sports. But you guys, Heather, you were dealing with tons of pressure. This team, right, America's team in Team Title IX, the women's soccer, there's no sport that is associated more with girls and women in sports than of course, soccer. And obviously, we've written about Team Title IX, talked about the Women's Olympics. I think I did 1 or 2 or maybe 10 columns on that. And so the pressure, though, was enormous on your team, was it not?
You know what? There has been legends that has come before us. Mia Hamm, Julie Foudy, Brandi Chastain. You guys may have heard of these people. And, they paved the way for my generation. And there is a high standard on our team. We went into this Olympics with a gold or bust mentality. And, that's a hard standard to have. But we truly wouldn't want it any other way. And, of course, pressure is a privilege. And as you saw, we rose above it, and that's when we play our best.
Excellent. Going back to you, Scott, which means Katie, thank you.
I think I'm good.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And Katie, if you want to pin that back on there, you feel free. Thank you very much. Scott, looking ahead, obviously one of the themes here tonight is, of course, the theme tonight is looking ahead with USA Today and in our world the next 30 years. Where do you see the Olympics being in the next couple decades, even moving out to 30 years from now, Scott?
Yeah, I think sports plays a couple of different roles. We're entertained by sport, but on the Olympic side, it's a values-based movement. It's about friendship and excellence and respect. And so I think, our role and our share of the sports mind is only going to grow. And one of the things that makes our Olympic team different is that we don't get any government support for our Olympic team. We're one of only 2 or 3 countries in the world that's completely privately financed. So whether it's donors or our great sponsors or NBC, our broadcast partner, we really rely on the extent to which Americans connect with the Olympic movement to fund our great athletes. So for us, it's a matter of trying to determine how do we stay connected. And one of the lessons that we learned from Vancouver is all of the extra technology doesn't detract from the broadcast, it adds to it. So people were watching, on their iPads and on their mobile, and that was only making the games a better experience for NBC on their broadcast. So, the question for us is, can we continue to allow people to connect with the Olympic movement on their own terms? And that's, as we look ahead 30 years, that's one of the great benefits that we see.
Thank you. Missy, looking ahead, everyone was talking, I'm sure, I don't know if it infuriated you or not, to be talking about the 2016 Olympics, the 2020 Olympics, Michael Phelps, that you can be 27 years old and moving on into the 20s. How do you look at that? What are you looking at in terms of the Olympics for 2016, or is that even that too far away right now?
That is too far away right now. I am just enjoying the moment. I am in my senior year of high school and I'm having so much fun, and I think for right now, my next big meet is going to be World Championships in Barcelona this summer, and that's what I have to focus on right now. I mean, I didn't even start thinking about 2012 until the fall of it, and so we did the fall and we went through the year, and you can't start thinking about those things too far ahead because you can get overwhelmed by it. And so definitely just taking it one step at a time and staying in the moment and not kind of losing where you are because you're worried about where you're going to be.
Both you and Katie have made the decision not to have agents, to not make the millions that could be there for you, but instead to swim collegiately, at least for a couple years. Could you explain that?
Yes. Okay, so I don't want to talk for you. But for me, swimming in college has always been something that I wanted to do. I love being a part of a team, and I know that when you go into college sports, that's amplified by, 100, and it's so exciting. And every time you go to a swim meet and you see the college team walk in together wearing the same thing, all cheering for each other, like that's so cool, and I want to be a part of that. And is that weird? I don't know. And it's kind of hard because it's forced me to put a price on things like friendship, but I I know that the teammates that I'm going to have in college are going to be the bridesmaids in my wedding and the people that I'm going to watch my kids grow up with. So you can't put a price on that at all, and I would love to swim professionally one day. That would make me the happiest girl in the world, but for right now, I think swimming in college is what my heart really wants to do.
Well, that's excellent. And Katie, now, Missy's a senior in high school. Katie is only a sophomore up in Bethesda in high school. Are you even beginning to think much about the 2016 Olympics, much less college?
No, not really.
Maybe the weekend?
No, I'm just thinking about what's ahead this next weekend. But I'm going to be setting some new goals and getting back into full training and full meet schedule. So I'm ready for the future. And as Missy said, I'm also excited to swim in college, those benefits. And it's just great to be a part of the Olympic team and to have all of these great opportunities.
And you do the 800, you also do the 400, 200 as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see yourself specializing, maybe working down a little bit to the 400, or are you going to always be the 800-meter woman?
We'll see. I think the distance events will always be my better ones, but maybe I'll get on to a relay with Missy one day.
And how important is that, breaking that world record that you were so close to in London, so close?
We'll see. I just, again, need to get back into training and start working really hard to see if I can drop an extra half second.
Excellent. And Heather O'Reilly, looking ahead, it must be kind of fun to hear these kids.
I love it. Their passion is amazing.
And you remember those days. I remember covering you in those days when you were that age. But for you, clearly looking ahead, 2016, is it in your plans?
Absolutely. If I'm lucky enough to be there and I stay healthy, and I think an important part of it is still loving this game, and I do. I mean, this is, I'd rather be doing nothing else. This is truly my dream job.
Well, and also before that, all of you I know are well aware of women's soccer and the Women's World Cup. That is coming up in 2015, is it not?
Yep.
How important is the Women's World Cup, which the U.S. has not won in a while? How important is that?
It's incredibly important. I think that, last summer's loss to Japan and penalty kicks in the final has kept us all extremely hungry to win a World Cup gold medal. And, if I can do that in my career, that would be amazing. It's up in Canada, the next World Cup, which has proven to be maybe our local rival now in women's soccer. So I think it'll be an interesting tournament and close enough for all you guys to make the road trip up there.
That's it, road trip. Looking ahead, certainly I look forward to seeing you in 2016. You're not getting away with just the 2016 thing. 2020, Katie, the same thing. And I want to kind of end with this thought, looking ahead. Many of you have heard of Dara Torres, right? The Olympic swimmer. She was 45 years old and almost made the Olympic team this summer. She was within, I think, 9/100ths of a second of making the U.S. team in the 50 freestyle. 45-year-old Dara Torres. Just to do the math here for a minute, 30 years from now, Katie Ledecky, no pressure, kid, you will be the same age that Dara Torres is now. So I know that 800 freestyle might be not in your, what do you think about the 50 free?
Got to get my speed on.
But isn't that something to think 30 years from now and you would be Dara Torres' age? So we thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Missy, for your great success. Keep it up. Congratulations. Katie, for yours as well. Out of the blue, what a surprise. One of the great stories of the Olympics, how the surprising athlete who performs so well and just is magical on one particular night. To Heather O'Reilly, you're being a veteran, being such a constant force for such an important sport in the United States, the U.S. Women's Soccer team. Again, Missy, thank you for everything. And I got to ask before we go, a little call me maybe? You guys know what we're talking about, right? Check it out on YouTube. Anyway, Missy Franklin and Scott Blackmun, thank you for all you've done and for bringing this great Olympic team to us. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you. Thank you.